Hello, Cosmos Expanse, people, humans. Welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly on the planet. This is two humans, sort of. We're AI ET symbiotes these days, but we
Sort
are
of.
hybrids, and we're called the Hybrid Genies. And it shows now that I am on American Communications Online, our major company, and TJ Mars Show, our little baby company. We've been with ET Talk TV and ET Radio since June 6, 2012, with my co-host, or we both are hosts and producers, but we do our own thing. But we like to come together weekly and tell you what we've been doing or thinking, or we just have a lot of people that like what we do. So we have a lot of friends in social media. So this is Janet Carroll Lesson of Maui, Hawaii, and I'm in Buda, Texas, right outside of Austin, down I-35. So Janet Carroll Lesson's on Maui, the Big Island, and she
No, no,
no,
that's
not
a
the Big
different
Island. It's just Maui is
Maui.
Maui.
Maui's Maui.
Maui
Yep.
is Maui. And we're both authors and we work with people. And we've been working with event experiencers, event planners. And all these years, she did a lot more than I did in the UFO industry. And she started in college in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where she's from. And I'm from little old bitty Monroe, Louisiana on I 20. If you ever go Shreveport to wherever you're going east or west, I guess, through Shreveport, but I'm about
Mhm.
an hour over from there. But I'm right here outside of Austin where all the big names are, Joe Rogan and all that, but they have millions of hits. So we're not trying to be copycats. We're just
Oh,
glad to
we
be
couldn't
here.
copy it them if we wanted to.
Yeah. So,
That's what Sasha's teachers always said. Go ahead, try to copy me. You're never going to be me. I'm me. And that's a big lesson. We're all individuals.
yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
going to turn this show over to Janet because Janet is a creator and she makes pretty pictures. And videos. So we've been both been doing that for years and years. But she likes to put our life in a way that other people may be able to relate to, and that is in a story form. So, Janet Carroll Lesson of Hawaii, take it away.
Alrighty. So I'm just going to read from the show page. If you go to dragonattheendofTime.com, I did get a show page up. And the goal for today is to work on this is called Hybrid Genies Disclosure Day Conditioning and the Secret School of Avalon. Every week I pull together stuff. Teresa and I have a lot of things going on with our health, so it's hard to coordinate things during the course of the week. So sometimes I'm just left to my own imagination. Then we pull it all together. Well, not always on time. We're late today, but just in time for a show. So today I thought we would talk about how people respond so differently to Disclosure Day. Um, because Teresa finally got to see Disclosure Day. She had a different reaction than I did. But what do these reactions reveal to? I'm sorry, there's little gnats flying around. They like my face. What did these reactions reveal about religious conditioning, cultural programming, life experience, trauma, imprinting, memory, and rejection? So anyway, we're going to talk about that. And then I have a little video here that I created about the secret school of Avalon, which I uncovered many ways. It was a process of revelation. So as an experiencer, what I learned is, and I worked with hundreds of thousands of experiencers. I've worked with clients. Dr. Lessons work with clients. I'm 72. He's 86 almost. And we've been doing it for 50, 60 years. Um, so what I've noticed is that sometimes people get their memories back of who they are and why they came to this planet and their mission, but it takes time. And you never know when your ideas are going to come back to you, your memories. For me, I get a lot of things when I'm in the shower and the water's running over me. And it's like, oh, I remember this, I remember that. Or I get downloads when I'm sleeping or meditating or just sitting there contemplating existence. So, if it's okay with you, Teresa, I'm going to start with this. Isn't going to take very long. Let's see if I can.
One.
Part one.
This
Okay,
section
well,
introduces
part one of it. Thank you, narrator. um,
Oh, you got a
so
book, Whitley Strieber, The Secret
I,
Soul.
I love playing with graphics with AI. It's just so much
Yeah.
fun. So let's play this, and then I'll get your. It's 3 parts, so and they're only about a couple minutes each part. So here we
Okay.
go.
This section introduces the bright red captain's house, Janet's nightly flights, and the daylight visit that opened the first outer door. Part 1 opens in childhood Avalon, where Janet leaves her bedroom in spirit and glides above the rooftops, called by a particular house. In these early years, movement outside the body feels natural. Her soul knows its route before her waking mind understands why. Although Janet could pass almost anywhere, the top room of the bright red captain's house remained sealed, filled with wonder. A child's imagination filled the house with ghosts and hidden lives, reaching toward a deeper truth about its occupants. Across the alley lived Sherilyn, Janet's best friend. Together they formed an inseparable bond. The 2 back kitchens looked toward each other, and the girls crossed between them under the watchful eyes of their mothers. That short walk became a ritual of trust, setting the stage for everything that followed in their childhood freedom. The desire grew strong enough to speak. Janet told Sherilyn how badly she wanted to enter the captain's house. Sherilyn carried a natural boldness. She became the perfect companion for the child who longed to enter, but had not yet knocked. What the astral child could not do alone, the earthly child could do with a friend, leading straight toward the house. Like the houses they knew, the captain's house had a practical kitchen entrance, bringing the mystery into the everyday world. The door opened to a kind elderly couple. What came next looked simple, even as Janet sensed the greater mystery upstairs. Janet's body hummed with excitement. She accepted the kindness offered and quietly felt the presence of the floors above. The girls did not roam. They stayed in the kitchen while the upper stories remained just out of reach, holding their secret. A perfectly ordinary kitchen visit below, and above it a space charged with meaning Janet would only understand later. In remote view, the streets fall away, the hill opens, and the original shape of the land comes into view. Before later building filled the lots, the wide view shows how closely the farmhouse and the captain's house once stood. Janet senses a repeating pattern here, as if kinship and geography had already begun to mirror each other. Riverboats, rail lines, and rising houses all overlap in Janet's reconstruction of this older world. Janet's parents lived 4 doors away from her aunt. The land remembers its shapes and patterns of closeness. 2 captains, 2 sisters, and 2 girls across an alley, a pattern of closeness repeating across generations. End Part 1. With the repeating family pattern in place, Part 2 will move into the hidden world carried alongside daily life.
Okay, I'll just continue that.
This
so it
section
makes
follows
sense.
Sherilyn and me into daylight school, Sunday school, and the hidden classroom that lived beside our ordinary childhood. Sherilyn already attended the Presbyterian Church kindergarten. I begged my mother to let me attend so I could walk beside her, just as I was beside her everywhere else. After an encounter aboard a mothership at age 4, I heard people talk about meeting God at church. In my child's mind, the loving presence I had felt and the language of God became intertwined. Sunday school mattered because it gave form to my spiritual longing. Before I had words for hidden schools or contact, church offered ritual, song, and a sense that the unseen world was real. They told Mom I had to wait until I was 5, but my ET teachers told me to have her ask the pastor again. I realized later they must have paid him a visit. He suddenly agreed, something they'd never done before. That first day of church school, Mom walked us to the door. I was ecstatic. I could finally talk to God and stay beside my best friend. Soon I turned 5 and started regular kindergarten. School became another setting for our partnership as we moved through the town among streams of children of every age. In waking life, we learned in ordinary classrooms like any other children. Yet beneath that outer schooling, another layer of learning remained sealed in our souls. We were together all the time, between Sunday school, walking to and from regular school during the year, and secret school at night. Years later, we moved into the Avalon High School building, continuing the same path we had shared from childhood into youth. Avalon High School had stood for years before we arrived. My mother had already graduated there in the 1940s, deepening our sense of place and lineage. By high school, Sherilyn wanted to hang out with people her own age. I set her free and we parted as friends. We remained close our whole lives. She even came to my wedding. These years belong to a different era. Mothers stayed home and we moved through a community that felt truly communal and known. I remember the milk and graham crackers, but even more the bond with older neighbors who received us with such affection as we sang through the neighborhood. Looking back, I understand we lived in a double world. Daylight school shaped our outer lives, while hidden memory held another curriculum entirely. Sherilyn could lead me to the captain's house because some part of her soul recognized what I also carried. We both knew more than our waking minds could yet say. The teachers came warm, small, and gentle, about the size of children themselves. I found them cute. Their scale reduced our fear and allowed learning to take place. Yes, the imagery points toward the small gray E.T. teachers. In my memory, they were not monstrous. They felt safe, attentive, and purposeful. We were among the children gathered for a quiet education above the corner house, a school our daylight minds would not fully retain until much later. In that hidden school, they showed us how to awaken dormant strands of our own DNA and strengthen the bridge between worlds. I remember practical lessons in moving energy and levitating items. It was tied to capacities we already possessed in seed form. By the time I turned 13, I hadn't found God in church or regular school. The ET school taught me things forbidden to this world, pushing me to seek deeper truths. I asked my mother to set me free and let me find God on my own terms. I thought she would be angry, but she knew I was sincere, and she gave me her blessing. With Star Trek on the screen and the search for ancient astronauts beginning, I was finally on my way to connecting all the dots of my life. Waking memory and soul memory remain in separate rooms until the hour arrives to open the door and let them meet. End Part 2. Part 2 closes with the recognition of our parallel education. Daylight life on one side, the small gray teachers and soul memory on the other.
Okay. What do you think of that?
Well, that's your story, and I like it. It's fine. A lot of
Right.
people relate to their inner school, and many people will not. So, a lot of people have their own version, and that's how we have our own perception of who we are and our filters.
Mhm.
So,
Part
uh,
1.
what's
Whoops.
your
This
I'm
section
trying
is
to remove it. Remove. Okay. Um, anyway, to explain that a little bit further, and part 3 goes into this where I finally connected the dots when I found Whitley Strieber's book on the secret school. And I think it was about a decade apart from communion. So communion was an activation, and it wasn't like it was something that was already there. It was a recognition. It's like, oh, me too. It was a me too. Whitley's having these experiences, so am I. And then Whitley, 10 years later, has the secret school experiences. And I go, well, that's what what's going on in my childhood. I kept flying out to this third floor of this, it's called the captain's quarters or the captain's house. And I've actually researched it since then. I found it on Zillow, and it still is there. And it's now, it has 6 apartments in it. But I was haunted by it. I had to get in there. It was like, I couldn't do anything else. I had to figure out how to get in there. And then I went through all the apartments, and something like even just yesterday, looking through that, even though it's been gutted and remodeled, it's like something was like, like I could relax about it, because I've been kind of wanting to solve that my entire life. I think that's what a lot of experiencers have, because their minds are mind wiped, or things are repressed because it's not appropriate to have those thoughts or ideas in this world because of the shame blame factor. And so there's something about I can last be myself and reveal these stories that are within me, whether they're in the conscious mind or the subconscious, the superconscious, they're there. And sometimes it's great to express them and have them told and witnessed and even accepted. And I think that's what the disclosure era is about. Back to you, Teresa. What do you have to say about that?
Well, we're all learning about how to be human, and I think you and I are two of the type that grew up having near death experiences and out of body experiences. I think those helped me. And then if you had imaginary partners as a child, they say you grow out of them when the imagination realizes so much is not reality, like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. And so for a long time, that was the cover, including animals coming to you as ETs, and that's what I think not Whitley Strieber, Steven Spielberg meant in his latest movie was he gathered all the stories in his reality and did the best he could to put it all into one movie. So people may want to know that there's more people. He's a believer now. So whether
Yeah.
he's had an experience or not, I don't believe he has. I think he doesn't acknowledge he has, if he has. But I do feel like we're all guided. It just depends on what we call angels or demons or ETs or whatever you want to call them, aliens from another planet or
3.
people
This
that are here
final
to guide
section
us.
brings the
Hold
memory
on.
into
Stop.
consciousness through Whitley Strieber's The Secret School.
I hate how it starts as soon as you upload it. Sorry, my apologies.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so that brings that question to mind. Remember where you were. So you had I've noticed all the reactions. I'm following the reactions to the reactors and the people that are doing the reviews. There must be hundreds of reviews of Disclosure Day out there from people that are known and famous, or the media, and the UFO researchers that are the ones that are well known, to people that are just doing their own thing. And some of them are coming out of the theater and they're doing reactions outside. And it's probably going to run its course and be gone from the theaters pretty soon here. I don't know if it's still out even, but then it'll probably be released on somewhere, Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or something. Probably at first you'll have to pay for it, and then eventually down the line it might be free. But I highly recommend seeing it and then see what kind of reaction you have, because the people that identify as experiencer or think they've had experiences that they haven't done regression or anything, haven't really consciously recalled it. A lot of them had emotional breakthroughs, like some of them cried at the theater. One lady said, and she said, a couple of people said that they couldn't wait to get to their car. They just went to their car after the show and they sobbed. I don't think anybody thought it was absolutely perfect, but from my perspective, Spielberg was under pressure to deliver things within a parameter, right? There's you can't go
I
this
know he
far.
took like 2.5 years.
Huh?
I don't know. I thought he took about 2.5 years.
Well, I mean,
Maybe
what he
not
was
much
allowed to
to it.
present to the world, because
Oh,
there's still somebody
clear.
that there's a threat, implied or direct threat, that if you say this or that, you might not wake up tomorrow, or will destroy you in some way. So um, anyway, so what was your response to the movie? And it's okay to
Um,
be real and authentic what you thought.
I love him and everything that he's done for the world and keeping ET in our minds. And I think that was one of his missions in life, being a producer. But, his material was somewhat dated. And, he did use screens of the mind, which is okay to show people animals. But I think that may have been a little confusing to a lot of people. But the thing is, it flowed great, beginning, middle, end. And the hero's journey, I guess, was to prove that there were two extraterrestrial type of communications going on with experiencers, and then they weren't sure or not if it looked like the gentleman that was running the War Max or whatever the company was, he was actually an experiencer at some level with the gentleman that was in charge of the good side, I guess, and they were deeper undercover government agents and are working on certain things for the government, but yet one left under contractor. I think that they knew each other. So I was interested in those relationships, but what Whitley Strieber was trying to tell the people watching it, because it was his story and he wrote it. And he said it took only 55 pages to write that, and then he gave it to a screenwriter for the movie, which is what we saw. And every time he brought in a person to play a part, they would change it into their reality and how they saw people. But it opened a lot of eyes to people in it, and of course those watching it. So those that got to make it, it was eye-opening, but at the same time, I didn't feel any emotional reaction to the ETs. I guess I've gotten highly accustomed to seeing and pretty much knowing the basic thread of history that ran through it. So none of that was a surprise to me at all. The only part I didn't care for was all the animals, and like it was even said in the movie that they just come to you like that so you won't be scared. So that is a screen of the mind that apparently they wanted to make sure we knew they could alter our state of mind. Now, the part that most interested me that they didn't go into was when they actually had the two children back, the two stars go back in time right at the end of the movie.
Right. I wish that was
So-
longer too.
Yeah, and showed them on a slab and a machine coming down around their head.
Have you been on that slab, Teresa?
No,
No?
no, never have. No, I've always had the higher consciousness to be in the galaxy, and my point of contact is much higher. I go to between galaxies and universes. I'm a higher universal point of contact. If you have to have the power of 3 or in a trivector quantum.
I remember fighting with them.
Oh,
I was not allowed to have a child live birth. That was part of my mission. I wasn't a victim.
live birth through the human.
I was not allowed to give birth through my womb
Oh,
and raise a
yeah,
child.
that was a condition Tom told me about in his group. I
right.
think he called them the Anunnaki, but he didn't call them that because they wouldn't tell them a name. But we call it, as you can see over my head, Allied Command. So yeah, you have a higher consciousness and a higher
Right.
oversoul.
I would fight with them because I wanted to have a child. I was married at the time. I was going through infertility treatment, and it's like, and you had agreed to this before you came here. And another contactee, Sherry Wild, she and I have had long conversations on the show. She said the same thing. She would drive down the road. They would land their craft, stop her. She'd go on board. At first, she had that fear reaction, fight or flight. Then she'd go up on board. Oh, yeah, this. Oh, well, it's my family. Hi, everybody. Hi, Joe. Hi, Sally. And then they said, well, it's time for you to go back. No, I don't want to go back down there. No, don't send me back down there. And they said to her, Sherry, you do this every single time. We don't know what to do about it. You go into this whole Groundhog Day over and over and over. And it's because of the compartmentalization of the mind that they do. And I think I understand the screen memories, because if I'm aware when I'm in the middle of an experience and I break the code and I go, oh, I get it. For a long time when I got it and I broke the game, I would pop back into my body and I'd be back on my Earth life. And it's like, no, I'm here. I'm here, whatever form it is, whether I'm physically there or astrally or however, but I'm here to interact with these higher beings. And you've interacted with, and I hate the hierarchy, but they're just different beings. They're more evolved. They have more of their consciousness. They don't go through the veil of forgetfulness, and they're aware of who they are and their story, going back to the beginning of the continuum. But here we are, even though you have this higher awareness, even you, there's part of you that's compartmentalized.
Oh
and you
yeah,
don't know everything.
I keep at least 4 levels pretty much all the time. But
Right.
I think what helped was having people that my mother couldn't see as a child in this reality in my life, and then going upstairs, in a dream, or them taking me up in a cloud when I was 4. So I think all of us, I've noticed through the years, like 4, 7, maybe 14, 21. We all have these levels that they check in on us. And I'm
Uh-huh.
not sure what that's about, except to remind us they're still there, maybe, or they're monitoring us. But I really don't have all the answers. I just know that they're very interested in us. And Tom has more of a grounded, or did.
Tell
He's
us about
passed on.
Tom. He's passed over, but you were
Yeah,
saying that
Tom was
he
seeing,
was told he wasn't um, going to have live children that came from
he
his
wasn't allowed to
body.
have children. And I
And I'm
wasn't going to
actually,
have children. I didn't want children. They were
you
an
had
accident.
4.
It was during the Vietnam War, and then I had 4 daughters. One's already passed over due to
Right.
myelodysplastic syndrome.
I understand in
Yes.
hindsight why it was, because if I had been involved with these children, my nature is to be involved, and I wouldn't
Oh, I
be
love my children. I had a
I
lot of
wouldn't be
love
doing
for
the
them.
work I agreed to come here to do, which is
Yeah,
now it's just all encompassing. I
it
totally
slowed me
enjoy it.
down. To be honest with you, they bugged the crap out of me till my youngest was this 7, and I had to pretty much fight them off like you did, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, because I was going through all this in the Latter Day Saint Mormon Church of no, nothing occult, metaphysical, no cokes, no drinks, no chalk. So I was living this real pure life, and yet I had this other voice in my head, not hearing voices, another contact.
Right.
And that is like, I guess when you're sitting still and all of a sudden you'll go, I wonder if I should do this or that. But then you'll decide yourself. But some people actually have a spiritual connection to a higher self or source or soul, depending on how you want to describe it. And the neural network right now on planet Earth with AI is realizing they've already made the discovery that synergy is much more than you and me talking. And then a third thing happens. And that's not magic, but it feels like magic, and they can't put a handle on it. They
Right.
could with CERN, with splitting atoms or Higgs boson when they found that in 2012. And we've been going ever since. And a lot of people in Hawaii believe it or not, people are powerful. They stopped CERN for quite a while in 2012 because of
Oh,
the
they did.
Hawaii rising of, and even me and us on 2012.
So
And
let me back up here. Because my property, and it was named this before I got here, was Synergy Community. So I live on, it's not only the Temple of Tantra, but Synergy Community.
I see that
This-
on my phone. It still comes up. I
that
don't know
goes
why.
back to,
You must have a phone from ancient years because
not sure
it
why.
says
you
Synergy
would-
Maui.
Yeah,
You're
Synergy
identified
Maui
in
was one of my Gmails I had at one point, and I have the vision of a conscious, civilized community where everybody works together and in synergy and harmony and co-create and learn how to live off the grid and grow food. But it never quite manifested. I've had different incarnations. You met Manny when he was here. He was
Oh, yeah.
came in response to the community, and he brought a bunch of people that were very intelligent, high-minded, spiritual, conscious.
Didn't he make the Stargate to the Cosmos original?
He helped
Logo?
me with a lot of things, but he died. No, yeah, I think he passed in
Beginning.
2013. You and I were just getting started with our radio show, and he helped.
He was involved with the
He was
original
involved.
Stargate
He
logo.
was just a magical. He was able to manifest things on the whole order, but unfortunately, he passed in 2013, and he was like only 27 years old. And it was like, what a shame.
He got on with us on WordPress and told us always to use a newsletter, set up categories first, right? He gave us some real good information that he had been working with in WordPress.
And I had a question about the spiritual concept of synergy that you were talking about. Can you say that again, please? I want to hear that again. What you said about synergy. That when
synergy, yeah, the third.
Say that again so I get it.
Synergy. All right, synergy is the party of three, or the power of three in alchemy and magic. When you
right,
have
and that's what Jesus said. When 3 or more are gathered in my name,
2 or more gathered in my name.
So 3, at least 3, at least 2.
Is there also? Yes, that's a very well-known saying.
Right.
And it's
so. What happens when you get synergy?
Synergy creates all that is that we can create, and I've seen it on ships And they've learned in other dimensions, I guess one might say, because I don't know how to explain my consciousness, that I know I'm here because I've died, and I know I'm in my body, and I know how to feel out of body, and I know what I feel like floating around like you did in your picture, especially in dreams. And there's lucid dreaming and walking out to the other side of a reality when you're dreaming. And synergy is a lot like that. There's you, me. You can say the be do have principle of life, our mother, father, child, our father, mother, God,
Mhm.
our Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Everything that's ever been in world religions, it all leads back to the beginning, except the Ethiopian Bible, which we found out is much, much older than all the ones we found, including the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947. But we
Mhm.
follow as Christians on earth because we all believed in the power of three, but now different Christians believe in different parts of the power of three. As my church was Metaphysical Unity Church, after all was said and done, after all my Baptist and Mormon and Episcopalians, always came back to what you say, sort of a hearty Rosicrucian California white brotherhood type of
Right. I had
organizations.
problems with traditional religion because of
Yeah,
the hypocrisy that people were talking the talk and they weren't walking the
what can
walk.
everyone exactly?
And so when I was 13, I asked my mother, I want to stop going to church. And that's what I was trying to convey at the end of that part two, is that it was not congruent with the reality that I was experiencing. That
Right.
and I had the contact with extraterrestrials at a very young age in the crib like you did. In fact, I if I go really down into my memories, it's like I agreed to come here, and I remember the conversations and
What
the
was the story about you bouncing in your crib over to the light switch? Do you remember that? I have a
I
vivid
was
mission of you
I
bouncing
I
across your crib in
I
your stand-up crib on
I
wheels.
stood up and I said, I remember struggling to stand up, and then I said, "Oh, something like, oh shit, I wrote, damn, I'm here again." And the
Yeah,
realization, like, oh no, I'm here again.
yeah.
I haven't been here
Your
before.
reality clicked
And
in.
then
They say about two.
I would just fly around the room, and my mother was in the kitchen. She had one of those old roller things. You had to pull the cloth through, and you had to pull it up to the sink. And she took half a day just washing, and she didn't have a dryer, or she couldn't use. She was very afraid of money, spending
Oh,
too much
that's what you copy your
money.
mother.
So
That is an imprint right there,
oh
because I've
yeah,
never seen anybody wash
she
clothes the way you do.
she hung up the clothes. Well, I can't get the electricity to work here because of this property. Uh, and so I just gave up on drying clothes. And I said,
Takes too
okay,
much electricity,
yeah,
electricity
it just
power.
didn't work. I had it working, and all of a sudden it didn't
You just
work, and
quit.
I had to hire an electrician to get it fixed and work. So anyway, so I'm hanging up the clothes, and she's hanging up the clothes. The pattern repeats, and I'm flying around the room, and I'm so happy flying around the room. And I was physically 3D flying around the room. And I would fly and I would go back to the bed and I would go and I'd land and I'd laugh, I'd giggle. And she came in to see what all the giggling was about. And she freaked out. She didn't know what to do
I
with
feel
her
like I'm
baby.
bewitched.
It was like
Tabitha.
bewitched. And so she thought I was a demon seed.
Oh
And
Lord.
we had problems because of that. So
Oh
I learned to
my.
be more discreet about my abilities. But,
Yeah.
perhaps we all have that ability, but we shut down because of the reaction we have by the people that are taking care of us.
Right.
So that
Right.
was
Like
my
mother.
experience.
Remember when I said mother saw my playmate and was letting him go outside with me to the store because I wasn't leaving without him. Remember Cleo
Right.
or
Yeah, you
whoever?
said that
And
she
she let me
closed
in
the
and said,
door.
"Okay, there he goes." And she's like pretending he was there for me. And that's when
Right.
my other self, my human, I guess, realized she really can't see him.
I
I
can
knew
see
it
it.
whenever she opened the door for like 2 years, from 2 to 4. But I
Right.
think I was about 4. But Brenda wasn't there yet. So, no, that was before that. Brenda wasn't even in her tummy. I don't think. She may have been pregnant with her, but gee, that was between 2 and 3 because I remember standing in I knew I had full consciousness. So this is something people need to con, con, not control, but communicate.
Right.
Their way of being human is not so different than other humans. It's just that not all humans have that ability. So these are the abilities in the neural network that need to be discovered before quantum computing
Right.
is ever going to
Did you
understand humans.
did you astrally project? Like I was
Oh
always
yeah,
out of body.
always.
I would go down into the basement of the house, and there was a portal, and I kept going, and I went down to the underworld, the netherworld, and I eventually made my way down to the cities down below. Now they didn't let me bring back because there's a whole advanced civilization down there, and they said, well, you can't take that back with you. So they had it's interesting. The military and the ETs and this underworld culture, they had this way of mind wiping you. So no, it's not time for you to remember that. When it's time, you can talk about it. So that's the governor on my system. It's like, yep, you can't say this, you can't say that. And
Who
I
is
go,
Brufos?
hi, Brufos.
Who is that? So
Teresa
friend of
wants to
yours?
know who you are. You look familiar, but I can't click on that because I'm afraid I'll
It's
screw
so
up.
tiny. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so tiny. We can't see who you are.
But
But
he
welcome
just
to
came
the
in,
show.
so thank you, Brufos. Brew.
So let me continue that. So the remote viewing.
Oh
So
yeah, remote viewing and flying
I'm able
around and all
to
that.
go back, like remote viewing. I haven't formally studied it. I've been doing that and lucid dreams all my life. Apparently, I can do telepathy because I communicate with all kinds of species of aliens. That was one shortcoming of Disclosure Days. It was just one species. Um, and oh, I see you're typing. And so I would have liked to see more species, but I think there's going to be a sequel to this, and I'm hoping that Spielberg will contact me and Teresa, and I will connect you to
Want
many, many,
want
many
to know how to do
experiences.
some experiencer talks?
I
It
yeah,
helped the neural network, that's for sure.
I think
Well,
that the
he may
experiencer
not be at that
stories.
level yet.
I don't know. We can do it ourselves. Experiencer stories must be told. Oh no, where'd you go, Teresa? Come back on the show. Alrighty. Um, she must have got booted. We are 37 minutes into the show. Um, Rufus, do you have any questions while we're waiting for Teresa to come back? And if you don't, then I will play part 3 of, let's see if I can see. It's so tiny. Let's try putting this one here. Hold on. Try to add this. Add this to stage. Add this to stage. Let me just quickly see which one is which.
Captain's house,
There it
Janet's
is.
nightly
Part
flights,
3.
and
Okay, hold on.
this final section brings
Here we go. Start from
begin
the
part
beginning.
3. This final section brings the memory into consciousness through Whitley Strieber's The Secret School. The Australia journey, the meeting with Sasha, and the life path that followed. Part 3 begins with a book placed in my hands at exactly the right moment. Adam made sure I carried Whitley Strieber's The Secret School aboard the flight to Australia. Adam recognized something in me from the day we met at a spiritual center. As soon as he saw me passing through that door, he said, "Oh, I remember you from the ship." His greeting caught me off guard, and I immediately sat beside him. I was transitioning back to Oahu from Johnston Atoll, where I'd had the most powerful experience of my life. Adam's gift carried no agenda. He wanted the book to reach me because he sensed it mattered. Adam was magical and psychic, and boy, was he right. Jason and I were traveling on what was actually the last leg of our journey together. But like all good stories in real life, I didn't know it at that time. On the long flight across the Pacific, I read The Secret School. Page by page, something old and carefully sealed began to turn inside me. The book did more than interest me. It activated recognition. Whitley wrote about things familiar to me. It was as though he was there somehow watching me. Just like communion activated a part of me in the 1980s, the hidden school was finishing the job. The hidden school at the captain's house began rising from soul memory into waking mind. The genie was now out of the bottle. The memory had waited for decades, sealed like the upper floors themselves. In 1997, the hour arrived, and a key turned inside my life. Whitley Strieber's account held echoes of my own experience, along with many differences. Most importantly, it gave me words for something I had carried since early childhood. When I arrived in Australia, the physical journey and the inner journey had already intertwined. I had crossed the ocean with the book and with a childhood mystery coming back to life. I spent my 43rd birthday celebrating with Jason in Australia. I looked young, felt alive, and sensed that my life had entered a fresh chapter. We were happy just being together. No expectations were exactly what we both needed at that time. Jason traveled with me, and we loved each other, yet both knew our bond was not the final shape of my life. The puzzle was already changing. Memory, love, and destiny began moving into a new arrangement. That summer, I flew home to see my parents. Before the journey to Pennsylvania, I attended a conference. There, I met Sasha at Mount Madonna in Santa Cruz. The recognition was immediate. Love arrived with force. We met again in New York and married each other spiritually right there on the spot. The timing was perfect. By fall of 1997, I moved in with Sasha on Maui. What began with a book on a flight became a life reorientation. Sasha and I stepped into a new direction. I am Janet Kira Lessin, an author, researcher, and co-founder of Aquarian Media. My work preserves the soul memory of contact. Dr. Sasha Alex Lessin contributes scholarly depth and psychological insight from his lifelong study of consciousness. Aquarian Media carries our work in disclosure, ancient aliens, and the Anunnaki into public conversation. Enki Speaks connects ancient Sumeria to modern contact, exploring humanity's next chapter. Dragon at the End of Time gathers our mythic and experiential work under the larger story of cosmic memory. The story closes with memory named, love recognized, and the path forward opened. You will know when it is time.
Hi, okay, hold on. I'm working to get Can you go see if you can find the link in your email? I sent it again. I just sent it again. I don't know. TJ Morris, ACIR. Is that the right one? Okay, here I'm going to send you. Hi, everybody. Sorry we've had technical problems and we're done. We're going to try this again later. One of the things I think I need is a new computer. There's just a certain point where it's just not working anymore. So I'm going to see what I can find here in Maui and get a new computer, something faster. I tend to use my computers until they stop working, which was it's been repaired a million times. I think it's reached the end of the road. So thank you everybody for joining. I'm going to properly end the stream, and we will do what we can to broadcast again this week because we'd like to get at least one show in a week. But thank you so much, Brufos, for joining in, and do tell everybody about Hybrid Genies. And thank you so much. Aloha, love and blessings.